Captain Hyan stood in the observation deck of the human ship Resilience. Through the massive window, he could see the Galactic Council chamber floating in space like a giant crystal flower. Inside that chamber, 847 alien species were about to decide humanity's fate. Ambassador Nari stood beside him, her hand shaking slightly. She had spent 3 years preparing for this moment. 3 years of meetings, negotiations, and carefully chosen words. But Hyan could see the fear in her eyes. She knew what was coming. "They won't listen," Hyan said quietly. "They never do." Nari looked at him with tired eyes. "I have to try." Down in the war room, Jiho sat at his station, watching data streams flash across multiple screens. He was young, only 25, but he was the best strategic mind in the Earth Defense Force. His fingers moved across the keyboard, pulling up files that most people didn't even know existed. Files labeled Protocol Exodus. The council chamber was enormous. Thousands of aliens sat in curved rows that rose up like an amphitheater. At the center, on a raised platform, stood Arbiter Velshara. She was tall and blue-skinned, with 4 arms and eyes that glowed like cold stars. She had ruled the council for 60 years. Nari walked to the speaking platform in the center. Her footsteps echoed in the silent chamber. She could feel thousands of alien eyes watching her. "Honored members of the Galactic Council," Nari began. Her voice was amplified across the vast space. "Humanity has served this galaxy for 200 years. We have shared our technology, our medicine, our culture. We have fought beside you against pirates and invaders. We have silence." Velshara's voice cut through the air like a blade. "This council has heard enough human words. You speak of service, but we see only danger. Your species is too aggressive, too unpredictable. You refuse to follow proper civilization protocols. You question authority. You innovate too quickly. You make other species uncomfortable." Nari felt her heart sink. "Our innovation has saved lives. Our questions have prevented wars. Enough." Velshara raised all 4 arms. "The vote has already been cast. This is merely a formality, human. Your species has been declared outlawed. You have 30 days to evacuate all colony worlds and return to your home planet. All human trade is banned immediately. Any species that harbors humans after the deadline will face severe sanctions." The chamber erupted in clicking, chirping, and humming sounds. The aliens were celebrating. Nari stood frozen. She had expected this, but hearing the words made it real. "You're condemning billions of people for being different," she said, her voice breaking. "We have children on those colonies, families, lives built over generations." "Then you should have been less different," Velshara said coldly. 30 days. Not 1 hour more. Your jump gate coordinates will be deleted from all galactic navigation systems. Earth will be isolated. Perhaps in 1,000 years, your species will have learned to be civilized." Nari walked back to the Resilience in a daze. When she entered the bridge, Hyan was already there, sitting in his captain's chair with a strange calm on his face. "They did it," Nari whispered. "They actually did it." "I know," Hyan said. He tapped a button on his armrest. "Jiho, send the message." Down in the war room, Jiho smiled grimly. His fingers flew across the keyboard. Across the galaxy, on every human colony world, on every human ship, a message appeared. It was encrypted with codes that only humans knew. The message was simple: Protocol Exodus. Do not comply. On the colony world of New Sol, Commander Taiho read the message and nodded. He'd been preparing for this moment for years. He turned to his staff. "Begin evacuation procedures. Not to Earth, to the hidden coordinates. On the mining station above Kepler 442b, Captain Yuna shut down her freight ship's transponder and powered up systems that weren't supposed to exist. Stealth systems, military-grade engines, weapons that commercial ships shouldn't have. On the research colony Haven's Edge, Dr. Sora saved her years of xenobiology research onto encrypted drives. She looked at her alien colleagues, species that the Council had deemed too primitive or too poor to deserve representation. "Come with us," she said. "We won't leave you behind." Back on the Resilience, Hyan opened a ship-wide channel. "All hands, this is the captain. As of this moment, Earth and all her colonies are at war. Not a war of weapons, but a war of survival. The galaxy has rejected us, so we will reject them back. We will not return to Earth like frightened animals. We will scatter. We will hide. We will survive. And one day, they will regret this decision." Nari looked at him in shock. "Hyan, what are you talking about? We can't just disappear into space. We have responsibilities, laws. The Council just declared us criminals for existing," Hyan interrupted. "So we'll be criminals, but we'll be alive." He stood up from his chair. "Navigator, delete Earth's coordinates from our system. Helm, set course for the Veil Nebula. Maximum stealth." "Sir, the Veil Nebula is uncharted space," the navigator protested. "There could be anything out there." "Exactly," Hyan said with a cold smile. "That's exactly the point." As the Resilience turned away from the Council chamber and activated its stealth systems, it simply vanished from all sensors. Behind it, the great crystal chamber glowed with celebration. The aliens congratulated themselves on removing a dangerous element from their perfect galaxy. They had no idea what they had just created. They had tried to cage humanity, and instead, they had set it free. In 30 days, they would search for human colonies and find nothing. They would search for Earth and find only empty space. And they would realize, too late, that you cannot outlaw a species that refuses to obey. The real game had just begun. 3 weeks after the Council's verdict, the galaxy watched and waited. Council ships positioned themselves near every known human colony, ready to escort the defeated humans back to Earth. They expected to see cargo ships packed with crying families. They expected surrender. Instead, they saw nothing. On day 29, Commander Taiho stood on the bridge of the colony ship Exodus Wind. Around him, thousands of ships filled the void of space. Generation ships from the old days. Mining vessels. Research stations that had disconnected from their anchors. Passenger liners. Everything that could fly was flying, but they weren't heading toward Earth. "All ships report ready," his first officer said. "Stealth systems online. Quantum dampeners active." Taiho nodded. "Take us into the nebula." The fleet moved as one, disappearing into the purple and gold clouds of the Veil Nebula. Council sensors lost track of them immediately. To the watching aliens, it looked like the ships had simply stopped existing. Dr. Sora stood in the cargo bay of the research vessel Discovery. Around her, 300 alien refugees huddled together in fear. They were from 12 different species. The Council had never given them representation because they were too poor, too primitive, or too few in number. A young alien child, barely knee-high with 6 eyes, looked up at Sora. "Why are you helping us?" "The Council said your people are dangerous." Sora knelt down and smiled. "The Council says a lot of things. But here's what I know. When someone is in trouble, you help them. That's what makes you human. Not your DNA, but your choices." She paused. "Actually, some of our best humans aren't even human at all." The child didn't understand, but it smiled anyway. On the freight ship running free, Captain Yuna navigated through a route that didn't exist on any map. Her ship was loaded with supplies, food, medicine, and manufacturing equipment. Behind her, a convoy of 20 other ships followed her lead. "Captain, we're getting a signal," her communications officer said. "It's from the new Terra colony. They're asking for our position." "Tell them we're dead," Una said flatly. "As far as the Council is concerned, we hit a meteor storm and disintegrated. All hands lost." "But the colony is also dead," Una interrupted. "Everyone needs to understand. The old human civilization is gone. We're starting over. No records, no trails, nothing that can lead them to us." Her officer nodded slowly, beginning to understand. Across the galaxy, similar conversations were happening. Human colonies weren't evacuating to Earth. They were erasing themselves from existence. Arbiter. Valshara stood in the council chamber on day 30. Her forearms were crossed in satisfaction. Reports were coming in from all over the galaxy. Human colonies were silent. Transponders were offline. Jump gates were inactive. "They've gone home," she announced to the assembled council, like animals returning to their den. "The human problem has been solved." A small alien in the back, a trade representative from a minor world, raised a tentacle nervously. "Honored Arbiter, what if they haven't gone home? What if they've gone somewhere else?" Valshara's eyes blazed. "Where would they go? We control all known space. We have maps of every star system, every planet, every rock in this galaxy. If they're hiding, we'll find them." But weeks passed, and they didn't find them. Council ships went to Earth, expecting to find it crowded with returning refugees. Instead, they found nothing. The entire solar system was dark. No ships, no signals, no lights from the cities that should have been glowing on Earth's night side. "They've cloaked it," a council scientist reported in disbelief. "The entire solar system. I've never seen technology like this. Our sensors can't penetrate it." Valshara felt the first touch of doubt. "Send in a probe." The probe entered where Earth's solar system should be and simply vanished. No explosion, no debris, just gone. Meanwhile, in a dead star system that council maps listed as lifeless and worthless, thousands of human ships were building. The system had 3 dead planets, no atmosphere, no water, nothing that would attract attention. It was perfect. Taiho walked through the construction bay carved into the largest dead planet. Around him, robots and humans worked side by side, building structures, factories, farms under domes, and shipyards. "How long until we're self-sufficient?" he asked his chief engineer. 6 months for food and water. 2 years for advanced manufacturing. 5 years for full military production. Taiho smiled. "Make it 3 years." The engineer blinked. "Sir, that's impossible." "Impossible is what humans do best," Taiho replied. In another hidden system, inside a hollowed-out asteroid, Jiho had set up humanity's new military command center. Young officers worked at stations that glowed with data. They were tracking every council movement, every ship, every transmission. "They're confused," Jiho reported to Admiral Hyan, who had come to inspect the facility. "They don't understand where we went. Some think we all committed mass suicide. Others think we fled to another galaxy." "Good," Hyan said. "Let them think whatever they want. The longer they don't know where we are, the more time we have to prepare." "Prepare for what, sir?" Hyan looked at the star map on the wall. It showed thousands of systems that the Council had never explored because they deemed them worthless. Every one of those systems now had a small human presence. Seeds of a new civilization scattered like stars. "For the day they realize what they've lost," Hyan said quietly. "The galaxy is about to learn that humans were holding it together. And without us, it's going to fall apart." Back on her ship, Una had just finished delivering supplies to a hidden station. As she prepared to leave, she noticed something on her long-range sensors. A council merchant ship stranded with engine failure. Her crew looked at her expectantly. "Captain?" Yuna sighed. "Send them repair instructions, anonymously. Then jump out before they can trace us." "But their council. They outlawed us." "They did," Yuna agreed. "But we're better than they are. And we're going to prove it every single day." She smiled grimly. "Besides, when their whole galaxy starts falling apart, I want them to remember that the outlawed humans were the ones who kept helping them anyway. In the darkness between stars, humanity scattered like seeds in the wind. The Council thought they had won. They thought they had removed a dangerous element from their perfect civilization. They had no idea that they had just removed the only thing keeping that civilization alive. 15 years had passed since humanity vanished. The galaxy had changed in ways the Council never expected. Sang-hoon stood in the research station, hidden deep inside a rogue planet, a world that drifted through space with no star to orbit. He was older now, 31, with lines around his eyes from staring at screens in dim light. Around him, scientists worked on weapons and technology that would have seemed like magic to the Council. "Test number 47, Sang-hoon said calmly. "Fire when ready." On the viewing screen, a prototype weapon fired at a target drone. The drone didn't explode. It simply ceased to exist, its atoms scattered across 1,000,000 light years in an instant. "Quantum displacement successful," a scientist reported. "The weapon works." Sang-hoon nodded without emotion. He had stopped celebrating victories years ago. There was too much work to do. "Begin production. I want 500 units ready within a year." Somewhere else in the galaxy, the Council was falling apart. In the Grand Chamber, where they had once declared humanity outlawed, Arbiter Velshara listened to disaster reports with growing horror. Her skin, once bright blue, had faded to a sickly gray. She looked old now, though her species aged slowly. "The Krovan terraforming systems are failing," a representative reported. 17 colony worlds are losing their atmospheres. "We've tried to repair them, but we don't understand the human modifications. The original engineers are gone." Another alien stood. "The trade routes through the Serpent sector have collapsed. Only human pilots could navigate those gravity wells safely. Shipping costs have increased by 400%. The medical crisis on Andros Prime continues to worsen," a third voice added. "The plague is adapting faster than we can create treatments. Humans could have solved this in weeks. Our best xenobiologists have been working for 9 months with no progress." Velshara closed her glowing eyes. "Send another message to Earth. Offer them limited trade rights if they help with the plague." "Honored Arbiter, we've sent 347 messages to Earth. There has been no response. We're not even sure they received them. The solar system is still completely dark." In a bunker beneath a frozen moon, Ambassador Nari read the latest Council transmission. She was older now, her hair gray, her face lined with wrinkles. But her eyes were still sharp. "They're begging again," she said to the Council of human leaders gathered around the table. "The plague on Andros Prime is killing millions." "Let them beg," said a colony governor harshly. "They declared us outlawed. They wanted us gone." Nari nodded slowly. "I know. But those dying people didn't vote to outlaw us. Most of them weren't even alive when it happened." "What are you suggesting?" asked another leader. "I'm not suggesting anything yet," Nari said quietly. "Just remembering that we're supposed to be better than they are." The room fell silent. On a council medical station, Yoonji worked in secret. She had been a human engineer before the outlawing, maintaining the terraforming systems for the Krovan worlds. When humanity disappeared, she had stayed behind, hiding her identity. Pretending to be from a species that looked similar to humans, thought it had been lonely, terrifying, But she had a job to do. She stood in front of a massive, terraforming control panel, her fingers moving across controls that no one else understood. Around her, alien technicians watched in confusion. "How are you doing that?" one asked. Yunji had learned to disguise her accent. "I studied the old human manuals very carefully," she lied. She had designed half of these systems herself 15 years ago. She knew exactly what was wrong and how to fix it. But she couldn't fix everything. There were hundreds of systems across dozens of worlds, and she was just one person. Each night, she sent encrypted reports back to the hidden human networks. Lists of what was failing, what the council needed, what was about to break. Sang-Hun received her reports and filed them away. Not to help, just to know that the galaxy's economy continued to collapse. Trade agreements fell apart without human mediators, who had always been neutral parties that everyone trusted. Pirates raided shipping lanes that human patrol ships had once protected. Research stagnated because humans had been the species that asked what if, when everyone else asked why bother. In the council chamber, arguments broke out daily. "This is the humans' fault," a reptilian delegate shouted. "They abandoned their responsibilities. We exiled them." Another delegate countered. "We declared them outlaws." What did you expect? Valshara tried to maintain order, but her authority was crumbling. Species were starting to question the council itself. If the council could be so wrong about humans, what else were they wrong about? Deep in uncharted space, in a system humans now called New Hope, Admiral Hyan walked through a city that shouldn't exist. It was built into a moon, with domed parks where children played under artificial sunlight. Human children and alien children, running together, laughing in a dozen different languages. A young girl, maybe 8 years old, ran up to him. She had 4 arms and green skin, clearly not human. "Admiral, Admiral, watch what I learned." She proceeded to recite a human poem in perfect Korean. Though her species had mouths shaped nothing like humans. Hyan smiled, and for a moment, the weight of command lifted from his shoulders. "Beautiful," he said. "Your teacher would be proud." The girl beamed and ran off. Commander Taiho walked up beside Hyan. "The council's latest message just came in. They're offering full reinstatement if we return and help them. What are the conditions?" "We admit we were wrong to hide. We submit to civilization protocols. We accept council authority over all human activities." Hyan laughed, a sound with no humor in it. "They're dying, and they still want us to bow. Send no response. Let them wonder if we even still exist." But that night, Hyan couldn't sleep. He stood on an observation deck, looking out at the stars. Somewhere out there, on Andros Prime, millions were dying from a plague. Millions who had never voted to outlaw humanity. Children, families, innocents. "We could help them," Nari's voice came from behind him. She had joined him on the observation deck. "Sang-Hun has scientists who could cure that plague in weeks." "I know," Hyan said quietly. "So why don't we?" Hyan turned to face her. "Because the moment we reveal ourselves, the moment we show them where we are and what we've built, we lose our only advantage. They'll come for us again. And next time, they won't just outlaw us. They'll try to enslave us, use us, force us to fix their broken galaxy while keeping us under their control." Nari nodded slowly. "You're probably right. But every day we wait, more people die." "I know," Hyan repeated. His voice was heavy with the weight of command. "But if I save them today, and it costs us our freedom tomorrow, how many more will die then?" Neither of them had an answer. Far away, Valshara received a report that made her blood run cold. Long-range sensors had detected something beyond the galaxy's edge. Something vast. Something coming closer. "What is it?" she demanded. "Unknown, honored arbiter." But it's big, and it's heading toward Council space. Valshara felt true fear for the first time in decades. The galaxy was falling apart, and now something new was coming. Something dangerous, and the only species that might have been able to help was scattered to the wind, silent and invisible. The Council's perfect galaxy was dying, and humanity watched from the shadows, saying nothing. 25 years after the outlawing, the galaxy learned the meaning of true terror. The Vexrath swarm came from beyond the galactic edge like a plague of locusts made of metal and hate. They consumed everything: planets, ships, space stations. They broke down matter into raw energy and used it to build more of themselves. The first 3 Council fleets sent to stop them were destroyed in 17 minutes. Admiral Jiho watched the battle recordings in the hidden command center. He was 50 now, gray-haired but sharp-eyed. Around him, younger officers analyzed the swarm's tactics with growing horror. They adapt in real time, a tactical officer reported. Every weapon we use against them, they learn to counter within minutes. It's like fighting a computer virus with a body. Jiho nodded grimly. The Council's technology can't handle this. Their weapons are too standardized, too predictable. He paused. Ours aren't. Captain Minho entered the command center. He was Jiho's second in command, a stocky man with scarred hands from years of working on ship engines personally. Sir, we're getting a signal. The Council is trying to reach Earth again. Let me guess. They want our help now. Yes, sir. Valshara herself is on the transmission. She's begging. Jiho considered this. Show me. On the screen, Valshara appeared. She looked ancient now, her skin faded almost to white, her forearms shaking. Please, she said, her voice breaking. If any human is listening, please help us. The swarm is unstoppable. 42 worlds have fallen. 300 billion souls dead. We were wrong. We were wrong about you. Please, help us. The command center fell silent. Your orders, Admiral? Minho asked quietly. Jiho thought about all the years of hiding. All the years of watching the galaxy suffer while humans stayed silent. All the people who had died while humanity built its strength in secret. Send a ship, he said finally. One ship. Let them see what we've become. Minho smiled slowly. Which ship, sir? The Ghost. I think it's time the Council met Hana. Hana had never seen Earth. She was born in the hidden colonies, raised in the secret stations scattered across uncharted space. She was 23 years old and had spent her entire life training for this moment. She stood on the bridge of the Ghost, a ship so advanced that Council scientists would think it was magic. Stealth systems that could hide a moon. Weapons that bent reality. Engines that could cross the galaxy in days instead of months. Approaching Council space, her navigator said. They're hailing us. Multiple frequencies. They sound desperate. Hana nodded. The cloak. Let them see us. The Ghost appeared on Council sensors like a nightmare made real. It was beautiful and terrifying, all flowing lines and impossible angles. It didn't look like it belonged in normal space. A dozen Council ships immediately surrounded it, weapons charging. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. A Council captain transmitted. This is restricted space. Hana laughed. Actually laughed. This is our galaxy too, Captain. We were here first. We just chose to be polite about it. Her voice turned cold. Lower your weapons, or I'll make you lower them. You're in a single ship against 12 warships. Surrender now, or... The Ghost's weapons powered up. Council sensors screamed warnings. The readings were impossible. The energy signatures were off the scale. Last warning, Hana said pleasantly. The Council ships backed away. Hana's ship glided past them toward the Council chamber. When she docked, armed guards surrounded her ship. She walked out alone, wearing a simple black uniform with no weapons visible. The guards raised their rifles. "Really?" Hannah asked. "After everything, you still don't learn." She walked past them. When one tried to grab her, he suddenly found himself on the floor, unconscious. Personal shield technology. The others wisely stepped back. Velshara waited in a small chamber, not the grand meeting hall. She looked at Hannah with eyes full of hope and fear. "You came," the old arbiter whispered. "I didn't think. After everything we did." "I'm not here for you," Hannah said bluntly. She had no patience for politics. "I'm here to deliver a message from humanity." She placed a data crystal on the table between them. "These are our terms. The outlawing is repealed. Completely. Publicly. Every species that sheltered under our protection during these years gets full council voting rights. And you admit publicly that you were wrong." Velshara stared at the crystal. "And if we agree, you'll help us fight the swarm?" "No," Hannah said simply. "What?" "We'll fight the swarm," Hannah continued. "But not for you. For the innocent people dying on those worlds. For the species that had no say in outlawing us. For the children who don't even know what humans are." She leaned forward. "We won't fight to save the council. We'll fight to save the galaxy. There's a difference, but we need you." Velshara's voice rose in desperation. "Without your help, we'll lose everything." "Yes," Hannah agreed. "You will. Which is why you'll agree to our terms." She stood to leave. "You have 6 hours to decide. After that, we'll start evacuating civilians from the swarm's path. The council can survive or die. We don't really care which." "Wait." Velshara stood, her forearms shaking. "Please, at least tell me. Where have you been? Where did you go?" Hannah smiled, and it wasn't a kind smile. "Everywhere. You weren't looking. All those dead systems you deemed worthless. All that empty space you called useless. We built a new civilization while you congratulated yourselves on getting rid of us." She walked to the door. 6 hours, Arbiter. Choose wisely." But as Hannah walked back to her ship, alarms began blaring. The swarm had just entered the system. Council defense fleets scrambled to respond. Hannah ran to her ship's bridge. "Get me Admiral Jiho, now." Jiho's face appeared on screen. "I see it. The council world of New Andrus is under attack. 20,000 swarm ships. Order, sir?" Jiho was quiet for a moment. Then, "They haven't agreed to our terms yet." "No, sir. But there are 40 million people on that planet, civilians." Another pause. Hannah could see the weight of command on Jiho's face, the terrible math of war. Save people now and show weakness, or let them die and maintain leverage. "Ghost, you are authorized to defend New Andrus," Jiho said finally. "Show them what humans can do. But Hannah? Don't die proving a point." Hannah grinned. "Sir, I wasn't planning to." The Ghost launched from the station and accelerated toward the swarm at speeds that should have torn the ship apart. Council sensors tracked it in disbelief. The swarm ships turned to face this new target. 20,000 ships against one. On New Andrus, people watched the sky in terror as dark shapes blotted out the sun. Then they saw something else. A single silver ship, diving into the swarm like a hawk into a flock of crows. And the swarm began to die. The Ghost moved like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. Its weapons fired in patterns that didn't follow normal physics. Swarm ships exploded, imploded, or simply vanished. In 30 seconds, the Ghost destroyed 500 enemy vessels. The swarm adapted, changing tactics. It didn't matter. The Ghost adapted faster. On the council station, Velshara watched the battle with her mouth open in shock. "What? What is that ship?" An aide checked the sensors. Our systems can't fully analyze it. The technology is beyond our understanding. It's like watching the future fight the present. In 4 minutes, the Ghost destroyed the entire swarm assault fleet. 20,000 ships. Gone. Then it simply left, disappearing into stealth as suddenly as it had appeared. Hannah's face appeared on every council screen. You have 5 hours and 56 minutes left to decide, she said calmly. Choose well. Velshara sat down heavily. Around her, the council chamber erupted in desperate arguments. But they all knew the truth now. Humanity had returned, and the galaxy would never be the same. The council fell apart in less than an hour. Species that had waited 25 years for justice now demanded it. The smaller species, the poor ones, the ones humanity had sheltered in secret all those years, they spoke up for the first time. And the council, weakened and desperate, could not silence them. Velshara stood before the assembly and did something no council arbiter had done in 300 years. She admitted she was wrong. The outlawing of humanity was a mistake, she said. Her voice transmitted across the entire galaxy. We feared what we didn't understand. We punished difference instead of celebrating it. We declared criminals the very people who held our civilization together. She paused, her 4 arms trembling. I was wrong. The council was wrong. And billions have paid the price for our pride. The terms were accepted. All of them. Humanity was officially no longer outlawed. 347. Species that humans had protected were granted full council representation. But the swarm didn't care about politics. 70% of council space was now under swarm control. Refugee ships fled in every direction, carrying what remained of 1,000 civilizations. The galaxy was dying. Admiral Jiho stood in the main hangar of the hidden station called Last Hope. Before him, 10,000 warships waited. Ships built in secret over 25 years. Ships that represented everything humanity had learned from being cast out into the darkness. Fleet. Admiral Hyun stood beside him. The old man was 90 now, but he had refused to retire. He would see this through to the end. It's time, Hyun said quietly. Jiho nodded. Signal the fleet. All ships, to cloak. Show them what we've built. Across the galaxy, in 100 hidden systems, human ships appeared on sensors like stars being born. The Council's long-range detection grids went insane with contact warnings. 10,000 ships. 20,000. More. They kept appearing. In the council chamber. An aide ran to Velshara with a data pad, his hand shaking. Honored Arbiter, you need to see this. She looked at the sensor readings and felt her legs weaken. How many? Current count is 47,000 ships, but more keep appearing. Our systems can't identify half the weapon signatures. The technology readings are off our charts. It's like an entire fleet from the future just appeared. Velshara laughed, and it was a sound close to madness. We exiled them into the darkness, and they built an empire in the shadows. The humans were never going to die. They were just waiting. The human fleet moved as one, a wave of advanced technology sweeping toward the swarm-occupied territories. At its head flew Hyun's flagship, the Resilience Reborn. Minho commanded one of the battle groups, 2,000 ships under his direct control. His crew was young, most of them born in the hidden colonies, but they were well-trained and angry. Angry at a galaxy that had rejected their parents. Angry at the injustice. Angry at the swarm for threatening innocent lives. All ships, this is Captain Minho, he transmitted. Our mission is simple. Push the swarm back. Protect the civilians. Show no mercy to the enemy. But remember, we're fighting for the people who couldn't defend themselves. We're fighting to prove we're better than those who cast us out. Make every shot count. The first major battle happened at the Krovan homeworld. The swarm had surrounded it with 100,000 ships, preparing for final assault. 3 billion Krovan citizens huddled in underground shelters, waiting to die. Then the human fleet arrived. It wasn't even a fair fight. Human weapons tore through swarm ships like tissue paper. Quantum displacement weapons made enemy vessels simply cease to exist. Adaptive AI warfare systems predicted swarm tactics before they happened. Singularity missiles created tiny black holes that swallowed entire swarm formations. The battle that Council strategists said predicted would take weeks lasted 4 hours. On the surface of the Krovan homeworld, people emerged from shelters to see human ships filling their sky. Ships that had come to save them. Ships belonging to the species the Council had declared too dangerous to exist. An old Krovan veteran, someone who had voted for the outlawing 25 years ago, stood in the ruins of his city and wept. But the humans didn't stop at the Council borders. They kept pushing. Sang-hoon led the scientific division, analyzing swarm technology, even while fighting it. "They're not random," he reported to Ji-ho. "There's a source, a central intelligence controlling them. If we can find it, Ji-ho ordered. "I want that thing dead." It took 3 weeks of brutal fighting, but they found it. Deep in what had once been Council space, in a system the swarm had turned into a factory of horrors, was the Swarm Queen, a massive construct, part ship, part creature, part something humanity had no name for. It was protected by 500,000 swarm ships. Fleet Admiral Hyan looked at the tactical display and smiled. "All ships, this is Hyan. We're ending this today. All battle groups, execute pattern Omega." The human fleet split into perfectly coordinated units. They didn't just attack. They danced. Every ship knew exactly where every other ship would be. They moved like a single organism, anticipating each other's actions with inhuman precision. The swarm tried to adapt, but humans had spent 25 years learning to be unpredictable. Hana's Ghost led a strike team directly at the Queen. Smaller ships, faster, carrying the new quantum warheads that Sang-hoon had designed. They dodged through the swarm defenses like needles through cloth. "This is for everyone who said humans were too dangerous," Hana shouted as she launched her warheads. The Swarm Queen died in a flash of light that could be seen across 3 star systems. Without their central intelligence, the swarm ships simply stopped. Shut down. Went dark. The galaxy was silent. On the Resilience Reborn, Admiral Hyan sat in his captain's chair and finally allowed himself to feel tired. Around him, his crew celebrated, but he just watched the view screen quietly. Nari, now ancient at 87, but still sharp as ever, walked onto the bridge. "We won," she said softly. "Yes," Hyan agreed. "But at what cost?" The final counts would take months, but the damage was staggering. 200 council worlds destroyed. 1,500 species driven to near extinction. 5 trillion souls lost. But humanity had saved what remained. 3 days after the Swarm Queen's death, the council invited humanity to a formal ceremony. Hyan refused to go. Instead, he sent Hana, Minho, and Ji-ho. They walked into the council chamber in their simple black uniforms. No medals, no ceremony. The entire galaxy watched. Vel, single quote Shara, looking ancient beyond measure, stood to address them. "On behalf of the Galactic Council, we offer our gratitude. You saved us. After everything we did to you, you saved us." Hana stepped forward. "We didn't do it for the Council. We did it because someone had to. Because innocent people were dying. Because it was the right thing to do." She paused. "But we're not coming back." Shocked murmurs filled the chamber. "What do you mean?" Velshara asked. Ji-ho spoke next. "The Council showed us what it really is. A system where the powerful make rules for everyone else. Where difference is punished. Where justice is conditional. He looked around the chamber. We're offering a choice to every species here. Join us or stay with the council. But if you join us, you join as equals. No masters. No servants. Just people working together. Minho activated a hologram. It showed a new map of the galaxy. We call it the Free Coalition. Any species, any world, any individual can join. The only rules are, respect others' freedom, contribute what you can, and no one gets left behind. The chamber erupted in arguments. Some species were outraged. Others were curious. Many were desperate. In the end, 347 species chose to leave the council and join humanity's free coalition. They were the small ones, the poor ones, the different ones, the ones who understood what it meant to be cast out. The council survived, diminished but intact. The galaxy was now divided, not by war, but by choice. Months later, Hana stood on an observation deck, looking at Earth for the first time in her life. After 25 years, humanity had uncloaked the solar system. The planet glowed blue and green and white, achingly beautiful. "It's strange," she said to Jiho, who stood beside her. "I spent my whole life protecting something I'd never seen." "That's what makes you human," Jiho replied. "Not genetics, not biology. The willingness to protect others, even at cost to yourself, even when they don't deserve it." Below them, refugee ships from 100 worlds were arriving at Earth, species that had never had a home. People whose worlds were destroyed. Children who had lost everything. And humanity. The species declared too dangerous to exist. Welcomed them all. Admiral Hyan, now frail and near death, watched from his quarters as the first alien children played in Earth's parks. He had lived to see humanity vindicated, lived to see the outcasts become the protectors. He dictated one final message to be played at his funeral. They tried to erase us from the stars. They tried to make us disappear. But you cannot outlaw hope. You cannot exile compassion. You cannot make disappear a species that refuses to die. We scattered into darkness, and we became light. We were cast out, and we became home for the lost. They declared us criminals. We chose instead to be heroes. Not for glory, not for revenge, but because someone had to. That is humanity. That has always been humanity. And that is what we will always be. The old admiral died peacefully in his sleep 3 days later.